In this video, I'm showing you how I'm planning my 2024 in its entirety using this card deck. This is the biggest my card deck has ever been, and it's honestly going to be getting a little bit bigger, so I won't be carrying this around with me anymore, which is very sad, but I will still carry around the pertinent months. So just so you know, in case you feel overwhelmed by how many cards there are in this is what I use instead of a planner. So all of my to-do lists, said in quotations, are in here. Along with my to-do list is my storage information, meal plans, recipes, information about our boat, my contacts, some little flashcards for learning, my 12-week year for the upcoming 12-week year, blanks, and all household monthly, weekly, daily, every other week, every other day tasks are all in this currently, as well as monthly cards. So this is an entire year of plans as well as information for me to keep track of my life. When I go out and about, I'm going to be just trying, since I've always taken everything with me, I'm going to be trying out taking everything in my 12-week year. So it would be like this if I go out and about, and it goes into my black bag like this. I also just switched my dividers from a printer paper, so just like your typical stuff that you would get off of Amazon or Target, and I switched it over to this like thicker cardstock. So that's another thing that contributed to the thickness of my card deck. If you're new here, I sell the templates for these cards that you can edit on Etsy, and then the planner cards are free below, and there's some other holiday type cards that are free that I'll include links below as well. So to give you an overview, these are the steps, or these are the things that I've done or have thought about, and I'll be going over and reviewing within this video. My motivation for planning out the entire 2024. And I should say there's so much flexibility in this plan because, for one, we live on a boat. Therefore, a lot of our plans are based off of weather, tides, all sorts of fun things on top of just like regular life with kids' activities and work. So the beauty of the card deck is all of this is very flexible. So I'm not making to-do lists. I'm not necessarily scheduling in some of these things, but the intention is there, I guess. And I'll explain that as I go through the card deck. So the motivation is to plan out the entire year just because I feel like with all of the events happening around the world, it will be nice to not have to think about what it is that I'm going to do next. I am treating this as though I have hired an assistant, which is me. I'm sitting down and planning out everything that Jen needs to do for 2024 and helping her out in that way. So past Jen, me, today Jen is helping out future Jen, and hopefully she'll be grateful. That sounds so nerdy, but that's how I'm thinking about this because I have been working on the plan for the last couple weeks. And when I say that, it's not like it's an everyday type of thing. Every couple days, I adjust things or create things or think about things or talk about things with my husband. Someone that I've listened to for years is Jesse Eitzler. He does this whole live class where he talks about how he plans his year. He has a process where he wants to make sure, as a CEO of his company and also the husband to Sarah Blakely, who is the CEO of Spanx, he wants to make sure that in his busy life of being a dad and a businessman, he still has opportunities for fulfilling other aspects of his passions or his creativity, or in his case, for the most part, his desire to be very active. I'll link the class below. I think he has it on YouTube. He plans out every other month a mini adventure. He has a misogi, where it's a year-defining activity or goal, and then also quarterly habits. Instead of quarterly habits, I'm doing 12-week years. I'm doing 3 of them this year. And in my 12-week year, I focus on only one goal. That's something that I've learned the hard way, that I can only focus on one thing at a time of improving or really going deep into. And I'll talk to you about that maybe in another video when I show you my 12-week year in depth. Instead of the mini adventures, I'm creating cheat sheets for our little island trips that I'll show you in a second. And all of those can be shuffled. So if the weather's not great one weekend, we can shuffle it to the next. I'm creating themed months. to make things fun for us. So that was enough talking. Let's go ahead and get into all of this. So the first thing that I did was fill out my calendar cards. That is these monthly cards here. And they are used for reference when shuffling cards, but also for when placing the cards where you'd like them to go. You can see a quick look at the holidays coming up. In my other months, I have a little bit more in depth as far as birthdays go and things like that. And then I have highlighted areas which are dates that are important. Let's go ahead and look at the other months too. Just to give you a quick rundown, again, as a refresher for some, or if you're new here, all of the cards, all of the tasks for the day are going to be placed in front of the date dividers. The date dividers include daily memories, so each day at the end of the night or maybe the next morning, you can write down one quick memory. This is something that brings me back to the card deck and keeps me accountable because it's something I really enjoy recording. The next day, you can see the card tasks. All the tasks are scheduled based off of a weekly flow. So that's another thing. Each day you have certain cards. None of mine are in order because I haven't looked at it for the day. I start my day off with a look at my vision board, and this has just recently changed, so that's very specific to my 12-week year goal. I have an affirmation. I'll also include an affirmation for my 12-week, it's right here. My 12-week year goal is here as well. So here's the weekly rhythm, and this is telling me where to place certain cards. On Sunday, I'm not going to place any cards here because this is my day of worship, reflection, and just being able to recharge batteries. So I try really hard not to do any kind of baking or anything intense. I try not to plan my week ahead or anything like that. So this card along with this card is going to guide you in where to put tasks, because the idea is if you don't get a task done, it doesn't necessarily go straight to the next day. It goes to the day that makes the most sense for completing that. And in most cases, that is the next week. I'll include a link below for some of my bigger review videos for the card deck too, in case you're still confused, because I know this is completely different from what most people are used to, and I get it. So there's books that I'll reference below, as well as a video that better explains it, a couple of videos that better explains this. So just moving on. I have all of my date dividers here, and then behind each week is where my 12-week year lead versus lag scorecard goes. And so if you look here, week 1 ends on the 20th. I'm a Sunday start. I also have options for Monday starts, and all these calendar cards go through 2024. You have week 2 ending on the 27th. So if you go to the 27th, behind that will be week 2. Those are part of the 12-week year goals. This one should be, and see, these are tasks that need to get scheduled too. This one should be behind the 27th, so we'll go ahead and just reshuffle that. Week 3, if you look at March, we're getting into additional ones. So we're getting into February. This is another monthly card that I have set up. And when we're talking about theme months, I'll pop back to that in just a second. My theme month for that is Doodles. And then I have a brief explanation of upcoming holidays. I have important dates highlighted. And so again, when I'm scheduling things in, I can see, I'm not going to put anything that week, that type of thing. Week 3 ends after the 3rd. So here you have week 3. And again, I haven't filled out these scorecards last 12-week year. I decided that I was going to fill it out on my WAM, or weekly accountability meeting. I know this is a lot of jargon, so just check that book. It's a 12-week year. I have that link below, and you can usually find it at your local library too for free. So the WAM card will look something like, and I just went after the same approach that I took for becoming a better YouTuber. I did this for my fitness and weight loss goals. So that's going to look like that. So all of these weeks are scheduled behind the dates that haven't cycled through. I'm not creating wipe down the bathroom every day. I'm not creating 30 of these. I'm just shuffling. Once wiping down the bathroom is done, I then shuffle it to the 16th. And then when that's done, it gets shuffled to the 17th. Same for weekly tasks. Once I wash off the kitchen cabinets, don't have to have a second one. It's going to be shuffled then. So today is the 15th. It would be shuffled to the 29th. So now we have date dividers all the way through the 14th shuffled in front of February. Also in front of February is the weeks that haven't been scheduled yet, which are week 5 and week 6 of the month. And so all of the tasks for those weeks that pertain to the 12-week year are hanging out in front of their weeks, which is hanging out in front of the month until those daily date dividers come in front of February. Going into March, here's another calendar. I have my holidays all set up, important dates highlighted, and a fun little notice of what theme it is. So here's a good example of just a one-off task. This was something that was pulled from and I'll talk about this now because I think I wrote this down as something to review. Yeah, I transferred our family council. So we have a monthly family council meeting, and that's, again, a card that gets shuffled each month. It's not 12-month family council task cards. It's one that gets shuffled monthly. I use a little handout and take notes. When the kids were little, they took notes too, and we held like a total meeting. It's something that's recommended within the book that inspired my card deck, which is Sidetracked Home Executives. They talk about it. From there, what I did was I researched the concept and found a lot of information from the Mormon faith on how to host a family council, and it's something that you can definitely look up as well to make your own. So from that meeting, one of the goals of someone in our family was to have a booth at the pier over the summer. So at that time when did I schedule this? In front of March, I believe. Yep, in front of March. I will put this into a date as they come about. There's a day and there's also a card for reviewing dates. I know this all sounds so silly, but I promise it's really effective for me. So I have a month or a date in the month where I review all the dates and I shuffle cards and it just preps me. And in the past, I filled this out and done any other like planning for activities and fun stuff. And now I don't have to do that. Now I can just review what it is that I've already planned for myself and make adjustments as I go. So this is just a one-off card. And it is from the blanks. This was one of my countdown cards. What do you call that? Like an Advent card that I did back in December. And I just reused it by placing it in the blanks. And now I can use it as just a one-off card. It's not the prettiest, but it works. I color-coded it too using just highlighters. So I have certain one-off cards like that that are placed in front of some of the months based off of the transfer from our family council meeting. So going to April, you can see some of the annual tasks, car registration, filing taxes, that type of thing. And then I have one final week of my 12-week year for the first one in front of April. I have my planning card behind April. That way I know that when I go out and about, I just grab everything up into that plan card and I can go. So then moving on, May, I have holidays again. I have important dates highlighted. There's also some annual tasks filed within there. So once the dates show up, I'll then file them in front of the day that I'll most likely get them done. I have take recycling out and empty garbages in front of May because I don't need these cards until we're on a boat again. And so when we're anchored out, it becomes more important that I use cards like this. If you're living on land or in a home, like most of you are, this was helpful for me when it was trash day, especially. So it just reminded me, go take the trash out. Here's June. We've got July. And again, this is plans for travel. August. September. So here comes holidays. Oh, I'm so excited, you guys. Oh, how fun. So I have all my holidays all planned out. This is so sweet. So I think some of these cards are free too, that I'll include links below. You can't edit them, but you can print them out. Now, this is another thing in front of, for each of the monthly cards, the dot grid, what I started to use this for was a monthly review. Again, that's a monthly card that I only have one of, and I shuffle each month. That allows me to reflect on what it is that I was able to get done, what worked. So I fill out my responses onto this monthly card, and I use the daily date dividers to remind myself of what it was that I did that day or within the month. And then I have October's calendar, and here you can see, this is an example, and I had to fold over from my divider from last year because it was just that printer paper, and I just replaced them for that thicker cardstock. So you can see an example of what it was that I did to review October. And this is going to be really fun once I get over to October, because I just started doing the cards like this rather than doing it like in my planner or in my morning pages. Now within my card deck, I can see, okay, how did last year go? And I should probably look at that when I'm going over the dates so I can make sure that I make adjustments. So again, here's some annual cards, and then you have more holiday cards all planned out. November, you have, again, same thing, and then you have Thanksgiving cards. Oh, I'm so excited. So you have all the cards, and there's some that I removed too, based from last year, what I was able to get done, what I didn't do. This green is for Christmas, and so those are Christmas cards, and I have that I need to schedule within the end of November too, so I can get some specialty items ordered ahead of time. December, then you have all of these holiday cards that will get scheduled out. And the fun thing too was that back in, I think it was June, I was going to put it in July. Maybe I did put it in July. I did June, because I think we're traveling. Oh my gosh, where did I put it? August. Creating a gift list and budget, making travel arrangements for the holidays. Again, something that I never get around to, and when you don't get around to things, or you have a hard time making plans or planning for anything or making decisions, as I do, other people do it for you. And so I'd like to take some ownership over my year. Not that I'm upset by other people making plans for me, because I love my family and I love everything we've done. I'm so grateful for everything. But I just thought maybe this is something I should try out, the whole concept of planning ahead. All right, so we went through the year. So there's December. I have blanks for storage. There's like a whole storage system within this, which is super awesome. I have blanks just for cards that I decided to discard and can use for one-off items or taking notes or whatever it is that I need. I have some meal plan cards in there too. It's just quick access things. I can always print off more, but that just keeps it so that I'm doing things quickly. And then I have my meal plan too, or my recipes that I incorporate for the meal plan. All of these recipes get filed in front of the date that I'll need them. So for example, on, I think it is the 16th this week, I have to make hamburger buns. So I have that filed right in front of there to remind myself, of course, but also just as for ease of access. Having your meals or the recipes on a card, a physical card or piece of paper, or whatever it is, where you're not looking through different books or blogs or other online things where I don't have to pull out my phone, has been really helpful for me. There's a whole host of other reasons why it's helpful, but those are the big ones, especially when we're at the dock. So I have all my meal plans in there, and then I have some notes on food. These are cheat sheets that will help me and all that fun stuff. And then I have my food journal that I kept from last week, and oh my goodness, I had my mind blown yesterday. I went through my food journal that I kept for one whole week, writing them on the cards. And I didn't just list out what I ate. I wrote what I ate out in sentences, as well as talking about how I felt, my sleep, really holistic type stuff. And I put everything in Chronometer last night. Some changes have to be made. That's all I have to say. Oh my goodness. So here's some information as far as storage goes. So especially while we're on the boat, if I need something, I will know where it is, which has been really helpful. And then I'm also extending this to our boat lockers this year. And so that's one of the project cards that I'll have to make sure that I can find things on the boat, because it's surprising how easily things get lost, because there's so many little areas that you can store things. So then this is where all the boat projects will go, as well as cheat sheets, as far as you have to know certain things about your boat or have it handy. And I have it currently hanging in our pilot house, the cheat sheet, but I'll put it here as well. Then I have my Rolodex of people here. How sweet that I don't have to worry about showing that now. And then I have different cards. I only have one right now. It's on shorts best practices. So within that, I don't know if you saw, but I had my 12-week years lined out too. So I just scheduled those in based off of filling out those calendars, knowing when birthdays, vacations, that type of thing are happening. So if you go into, let's just look at October, because I know I'm doing a 12-week year then, you can see that I have it already outlined as well. So week 5, week 6, week 7, week 8, and that's my third one. You can fit in 4, of course, but I am only doing 3. So I have time in between to think and figure out what worked well and to just like keep working the plan without having to add in new things or rearranging my schedule too fast, which worked out really well over the last month in between my Better YouTuber one. So the next thing I did was work on appointments. We're changing a lot of our providers over, and so this has been just an ongoing thing, and I'm not going to show you in my appointment cards, but there are appointment cards in here that you can store all of your information as well as phone numbers that you need to contact people, and so it's all just quick access. You schedule in the appointments for when you need to make the phone call to schedule. Once it's scheduled, then you put it in front of the month that it's scheduled for, and you'll place it in front of the divider as it comes up. And then of course I still use a Google Calendar for appointments because as great as this is, it's not super effective as far as tracking appointments and meetings and that type of thing. It's still helpful to have that. I know some people still use a month at a glance calendar, which I think is such a smart idea too. If you want to completely disconnect, that would be a great idea too. Another thing I did that I forgot to mention is time blocked on that Google Calendar. So I have a worksheet too that's free that you can do it physically, where you're just highlighting out different blocks of time where you're able to do things. This is really helpful, especially as I'm going into a new 12-week year, to know how much time I actually have in the day to get these things done. So I'm time blocking out my workouts. I'm time blocking video, just like general video pieces. I'm time blocking cleaning. So I'm not saying what I'm doing in those blocks of time. Those are buckets that I can place these cards into, basically. But it's also helpful. So for example, in December, I wanted to do a video every day. And when I looked at my buckets of time, I saw that I was setting myself up for failure by committing to something like that when I physically did not have the time to make the videos at the standard that I like. I decided against that. So that's the same idea, same concept that I'm pulling into this new 12-week year. So making sure that I'm setting myself up for success. Let's talk about fun stuff. Let's talk about themed months. So the beginning of the year is always a little tricky for me. It has been. And I don't want to say it was bad tricky, and I'm not expecting things to be bad in any way. But there's certain things that I would like to look forward to. And I think that's just natural. So when you have trips planned and you're counting down the days, and things are much easier because you have a distraction, you have something that you're looking forward to. So instead of a luxurious resort, I am going to do a doodle month. That's a nice trade-off, right? We've done them the last 2 Februaries. The first February, my son and I did it by ourselves, and I did it in a planner, and he did his doodle challenge in just like a journal. Last year, our whole family got into it, and we did them on 3x5s and hung them around the boat, and it was really fun. And last February ended up to be really stressful, and so it was fun to just like have that cooling off period or something we could all do together. So here, I have the calendar up here, I forgot. So you can see the doodles. This is the doodle challenge. And within that, I've used a theme card. Each week, a family member, and it has worked out really well because there's 28 days in February. This February, there's 29. Happy birthday to all of you leap years. So each day of the family member's week, they get to pick a doodle prompt, and we all doodle after dinner while watching a show at some point during the day, and then we'll hang them up. So my husband and my youngest still needs to pick theirs out, and so I'll have all of that ready to go. I'm so excited. And then I'll make sure that I have 3x5s for drawing and pens and pencils and everything ready. Then the other themed month is in March. And this is when, again, we did our first Donna's Just Want to Have Fun month last March, and that was mid-February, and I was not doing well, and I needed a major distraction. And so we decided that we wanted to have fun every day. And this goes in line with The Artist's Way. If you've ever read The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron, she has artist dates, and so I pulled all of my artist date ideas and then looked online for new ones and created a whole challenge. Then what we did was we ended up, I'll show you this because this is one of the things I'm still working on. Actually, I did have things scheduled so far for March. Let me show it to you. So March, I still, like I talked about earlier, I have my 12-week year weeks already in there. I have those one-off task cards. I have some meal plans ready to go. And then I have Fun Ahead Review. So that is at the beginning of each week or on Saturdays, I can review what it is that I have planned and make preparations for that so that they're not just hiding behind their daily dates. It's something that I can look at every day. And then I also have a weekly check-in, which I've modified just with like a yellow highlighter to include my steps, because this is a 20,000 steps month. That was a whole thing that ties into my 12-week year, was that in March it's 20,000 steps a day. I've done this the last couple years, some years much more successfully than others, but the concept behind 20,000 steps a day is that I'm saying yes to more activities and I'm going out and doing things more so than I have in the past. And so this is just a check-in with myself that I can see, and I'm taking things a little bit more seriously. I'm going to write on these yellow highlighted pieces the steps that I was able to get in for each day, rather than just checking it off to make sure that I take a walk. So I have that all filed. Okay, let's look at the fun card deck. So here is all of them. There is 100 activities. You don't have to print out all of them. But this is what we did last year. So we had a list of 100 things, and then we picked items at random and then scheduled them in and ended up finding some incredible synchronicities. So one of the dates was we picked the card, go to the zoo, and our island doesn't have a zoo, and we were definitely not going to be going out to go to a zoo at the time. And there ended up being, on the day that we had the fun activity scheduled, there was a wildlife rehabilitation center that had an open house on that date. It was so cool. That was really fun. And there was a few other items like that it was just the coolest experience. I don't know if we're going to do them at random this year or not, because maybe we will if we pick out the cards we like, because what we did was we took all of the activities and just scheduled them in as kind of treating it as an artist date to be curious about things. But some of the things were not necessarily fun. My kids didn't necessarily like some of them either. So we'll probably be a little bit more specific with it, but I do like these cards because my kids are able to go through and decide what it is that they like, and it's just so tangible so that they're really able to pick ones. So these then the ones that we pick will be placed in front of the month of March. So I'm not going to put all 100 ideas. I'll set those aside to any of them that I'm not scheduling. I'm also going to place those on Thursdays for artist dates for myself. But in front of March, what we'll do is place all of the ones that we've chosen and then schedule them in as the dates come up. And I might even take notes on like if a certain event is happening that coincides with a fun idea. So I'm going to continue cutting these out, and then I'll have the kids review fun activities and see what ones they want to do, which ones I want to do, because the kids aren't necessarily going to be doing a fun activity in its like entirety every day where we're going out and doing stuff. But there's things like budget, like Dave Ramsey was one. So we would watch a video about Dave Ramsey and maybe get out envelopes and the kids could get money or whatever it is. So we can be creative with some of the activities. Then, like I've already talked, I showed you just quickly, just to remind you, a couple other fun things. So the beginning of the year up until Easter is kind of blank, as far as holidays go. And then there's Easter. Oh, of course, there's Valentine's Day. That's a whole other thing. Oh, I'm so excited. I love romantic comedies, and I have a whole movie list that I do. That's right. I was looking up holidays. So I have all these fun, cute things to do for the different holidays that I have in there. And again, those get placed in front of the dates. So this just gives me something at the beginning, the end, and the middle as far as travel goes for summer. There's something to look forward to all year round now. So we really already talked about family councils. Let me show you that card just in case. So my family councils, or the review dates, are usually the last Wednesday, which would be the 31st. And so I either put it on the 24th or the 31st. I put it on the 24th. So that'll allow me to get everything prepared for the family council. So here's the important date review. And then here's my monthly review. So those are the two things that I get done prior to going to the family council. And I try and make like a fun dessert too for that night. which is sometimes just buying candy or ice cream. So family council night is here. It'll be on the 31st. I also have a catch up with my mentor call there. So that you take notes during the meeting on goals for your family and then schedule it in to make sure that you're supporting each other. There's a few other things too, and of course you can customize it based off of your own household needs. Another thing is travel. So planning out 2024, my son's friend has a mom who's incredible, and she plans out her entire year in advance, vacations, camps, everything. And so if your son wants to be able to see her son, you have to make arrangements in advance. Or also, it's kind of nice because when you're someone who doesn't plan, she has everything planned, so she knows exactly what dates you can do. Let's talk about boat and travel, because this is very true for the boat, but it might be true for you too, because there's illnesses, weather, there's things outside of ourselves that make the need for flexibility to be important when it comes to having fun and doing trips. But the most important thing is that you have an idea of what it is that these trips are that you want to do. Otherwise, you come to a free day where the weather's perfect and you think, what am I going to do? And sometimes you default to doing things around the house, mowing the lawn, taking care of little projects, or maybe you'll default to the same experiences you always have, which is something that I've been having an issue with, where, we get a free day and I think, what should we do? And we end up going to the same place. So I created just kind of cheat sheet cards of all the places that we want to go, and I'll include all the information around that. So for example, if you want to hike a certain mountain, you can place it in front of the month that you want to get it done. Then when the date comes up, place it in front of the date. Let's say it rains or it's too cold, or maybe your son is sick and you have to stay home. You just shuffle it in front of the next date that you have available. And that way it's still on your radar, but it's not something necessarily that you're just placing to the next day's to-do list, or there's a system in place. So for this, I have just the island name, and I have islands because my husband is on a quest to circumnavigate every island in our area. He's already done all of the San Juan Islands, and that's not just the big islands. There are, in our area, there are hundreds of small, tiny islands and rocks, and so he's doing every named island and rock in our area. And so I've included just the island name, the category is island, and I've used the fun card because this is more of a fun thing, just as a call out as I'm going through my day. Below, I'll include information as far as anchorages go, amenities like pump out and water and that kind of fun stuff, and then some information as far as how to get there or how long it will take, any other little things, so that when a weekend comes up, we'll have an idea. I'm also going to do a cheat sheet as far as day trips, so just a list of things rather than just like dedicated items. So any ideas, basically, I've already thought it out, brain dumped it onto a card, and I'll have it for reference when free days come up. So all of these are going to get filed in front of the months that will be able to take these trips. Another thing is product and videos. So I've already made a list of the products that I want to roll out in this year. And then also I have been starting to make video lists of things I want to do. So here's ones that I've already completed. I have Plan With Me for January. I have a short that I did for an annual review of my channel, the video, so you can see I make notes on them. Sometimes I do to-do lists, and then I've created just a video card that I'll do each month that resembles my 12-week year, just because I found it so effective to be able to look at what it is that you plan to do, what you actually did, and the results from it, so you can make adjustments as you go. So I'll have video cards for the entire year, some of more like ideas, especially around holidays and that type of thing, and then also just like plug and play things. So I'll do a lot of daily plan with me, weekly plan with me, week in the life using the card deck, and I'll have that already scheduled in. One of the things that I am struggling with as far as the cards go with this system in particular is noting due dates and then working backwards. So that's something I'm still kind of playing around with. My artist dates are going to be pulled from this fun card stack, so I'm going to have those planned ahead, because what happens is that I get up to my artist date card, which just reminds me to get my artist date or take an artist date. Once I get up to this card, I think, what is it that I should do? And sometimes, again, synchronicities happen where a really cool class shows up for the week that I want to take, or I think that would be neat to go visit that shop. that happens sometimes, but most weeks I just sit there and think, I don't know what to do. So now I'll have an idea. All right, we're getting towards the end. My 12-week year. So I know that I kind of showed you a review, but let's go into that. And then I'm going to do 2 more. So these are free. These are planner cards that helps you plan out your 12-week year. You can use these for free, which includes those weekly dividers, and then purchase from me or create your own, the daily date dividers and month dividers with the monthly cards, and then you've created a planner all for yourself after you, of course, cut them out, print them and cut them out. These will be cut out to just finish out my current 12-week year. And then I will do 2 more sets and place them in front of the months that I need to do it. And throughout, as I'm working up to those 12-week years, I'm going to be filling them out so I already have them done. So I don't get to my 12-week year and think, okay, what is it that I need to do? I can really take the time and just enjoy recharging my batteries for my next one and just living in that space where I've become this new, better person and getting used to that before adding on another thing. I'll do a video where I go over mine in particular for this next one, but this is a new concept where I'm doing more of a tracker card. I don't care for it. I don't care for checking off boxes. The whole concept of the index card is to ditch the to-do list. So I'm not treating this so much as a to-do list as I have certain habits that as I act them out, I just want to see how effective they are at helping me reach my goal. So I have a sleep card, which is just a reminder to focus on those habits, fasting, and movement. So this is the first time I've ever done those tracking cards, so I can't vouch for anything and how effective they're going to be, because usually they're project cards like this, where I'm able to take notes. I'm reading Alan Carr's Quit Sugar book, which I've used a couple years ago to quit sugar, and it was super effective. So I'm reading that now. I need to finish that. So I've got all these task cards, right? And then I have the weekly accountability meetings, which just helps me score. So all of those, like the fast card, I'm going to score that, give myself a score out of how many, add them up, and at the end of the week I can see what my score was versus any progress that I had. And I have one single measurement. I'll talk about that in my 12-week year video. And again, the weeks go behind the date that the week finishes out. And then as the week comes up, I schedule those task cards in. And then on the planning card, which is the last piece, this is the one that you start off with. You figure out what is your goal and then work on all the different actions that you'd like to take that would help you achieve that. One of the things that I really struggled with was creating an affirmation, because I think that's super important. Creating an affirmation, making sure that your goal is really well worded. And I'm still not completely sure if I'm going to stick with the way that I have it as I go throughout the 12-week year, but you can see just an example. So for my case, it is I am becoming my healthiest self at my perfect weight. I think it's important to write them out as I'm focusing on it. And then the last thing, it does pertain to my 12-week year, is meals and meal planning. And this is one of the things that I'm still kind of working on, what's the most effective way for me to be handling this. But this is the meal plan card, and it's nice because I can reuse these. I have my grocery list on the back of it, and I can take it to the store. So as I go, if something cheaper is available, if something's not available, if something's too expensive, I can just have a quick reference to what it is that I have planned as far as the meal goes. And that's just nice because I made this a while ago. I'm not necessarily going to remember what these ingredients were for and what meals. Some of these days are more planned out than others, and that's on purpose, just to make sure that I have the right amount of stuff, that I make the bread on the right date, that type of thing. Whereas other days it's like whatever it is that we have in the pantry, and I'll go from there. But this was important because this is something I look at every day that just reminds me, looking at the meal plan each day is just helpful because, one, it tells me what it is that I'm going to be making or eating that day, but also there's certain days where I have fun stuff planned out and I have fun things purchased, and then I just forget to make that. So it's just a nice reminder daily. And then all of the recipe cards are behind. I used to have them just behind a meals divider, and now I have them all alphabetized just to make it quick and easy because my focus is on nutrition, but I was fine just having it in front of meals too. I didn't need the alphabetical dividers. But this is for quick access, which is nice, whereas before I would plan out the meals and place them in front of the dividers, which made it for quick access too. The meal cards are all done intentionally so that it's, again, quick visuals. So I know exactly how long I have to cook something for, what I need to set the oven for before I even get started. It's just really handy. Some other honorable mentions before I let you go. I guess this is just one honorable mention. I have boat projects. So you might have home renovation cards that you can schedule throughout the year too. But I need to start setting up boat projects for this year that we need to focus on. And I'll use this boat color code and it's going to be fun. And so again, those will get placed in front of months, which will eventually get placed in front of dates. I hope this was helpful. I'll have another video out on my 12-week year.